Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Dr. John J. DeGioia, President of Georgetown University, Ambassador Milan Revere, Executive Director of Georgetown Institute for Women, Peace, and Security, and Dr. Muhammad Yunus.
Good afternoon. We are absolutely thrilled to welcome all of you to Georgetown for this very special lecture by Professor Muhammad Yunus, who in a stirring ceremony just a few hours ago on Capitol Hill was awarded the Congressional Gold Medal. Of course, that medal is well-deserved for his pioneering efforts to fight global poverty and to promote economic and social opportunity. A son of Georgetown, Senator Dick Durbin, was the originator of the resolution for the medal, and he noted today that Dr. Yunus is the only person in the world who has received the Nobel Peace Prize, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and the Congressional Gold Medal. I have been privileged to see firsthand the transformative power of the Grameen principles and Grameen Microcredit to lift up the poor, particularly millions and millions of women throughout Bangladesh and all over the world. There are many distinguished guests with us here in this room. Let me welcome each and every one of you, particularly the members of Professor Yunus's family, all of those who have traveled from Bangladesh, all of those who are closely affiliated with Grameen. It is an honor to have all of you here. I want to welcome also the members of the diplomatic community and to acknowledge the presence of the former president of Kyrgyzstan, Rosa Otunbayeva. President Otunbayeva led her country during a very difficult period and oversaw her country's transition to democracy, including the first democratic elections, a first in Central Asia. And she has long been a champion of microcredit as a means of economic empowerment, and today leads a foundation to grow progress in her country. And I have just noticed that we are also graced by the presence of the former First Lady of South Africa, Mrs. Zanele Mbeki, who has promoted women's economic empowerment, continues to do so, and was the founder of the Women's Development Bank of South Africa. Welcome. This event is being co-sponsored by the Institute for Women, Peace, and Security here at Georgetown and the MA in Global Development Program. It is now my great pleasure to welcome the President of Georgetown. We are deeply grateful to him for his leadership and his extraordinary commitment to including the promotion of studies in international development and economic and social entrepreneurship here at the Hilltop. So please welcome Dr. DeGioia to introduce Professor Yunus.
Well, thank you very much, Milan, and thank you for your leadership of our recently launched Institute for Women, Peace, and Security. Your experiences advocating on behalf of women globally have helped to change the landscape of international development and your work for the Institute plays an integral role in ensuring that our university can be at the forefront of development work. So thank you. And I'd also like to recognize our second co-sponsor, our Global Human Development Master's Program, led by Dr. Ann Van Duzen. And we're grateful for the experiences this program offers to ensure our students have the academic, moral, and practical formation to contribute meaningfully to global development. We're honored today to be joined by many distinguished guests, so many members of our community. I want to thank you all for being here. It's always a privilege to welcome Professor Muhammad Yunus here to Georgetown. We're especially honored to have him with us today on the same day that he has received the Congressional Gold Medal from the United States Congress. This recognition speaks to Professor Yunus's profound impact in microcredit and poverty alleviation. Almost 4 decades ago, in a now famous story, he offered a $27 microloan to women building bamboo furniture. Before this, they had not been eligible to secure a loan from a traditional bank to grow their business. At the time, he had just completed a PhD in economics at Vanderbilt University, but he found himself motivated by more than an understanding of economics. In his Nobel Prize address in 2006, he explained, "I became involved in the poverty issue not as a policymaker or a researcher. I became involved because poverty was all around me, and I could not turn away from it." In 1983, he founded the Grameen Bank, a microfinance and community development bank built on 2 fundamental beliefs. All people deserve access to capital, and access to capital transforms communities. And the years since, through his work and through the success of the Grameen Bank, our understanding of microcredit and development economics has experienced a fundamental shift. Again, in his Nobel lecture, Professor Yunus offered a simple metaphor for his approach. He explained that we can plant a seed from the tallest tree, but it can't grow rich. It can't grow without a rich soil base. Around the world, there are millions of individuals with inherent potential, which they cannot realize because they are constrained by the context in which they find themselves. The movement launched by Professor Yunus is helping to change that. 30 years after he established Grameen, more than 250 institutions in nearly 100 countries offer microcredit services based on the Grameen Bank system. The bank itself has 8.35 million total borrowers, 96% of whom are women, and this is all with an extraordinary 97% return rate. We continue to learn from Professor Yunus's work about social business, about the impact that social business can have in the same way that we've learned about the impact of microloans on women's empowerment and about the children of loan recipients who are now becoming doctors and teachers and scientists. And we also continue to ask the question that he framed more than 30 years ago. What are the issues that we cannot turn away from? How can our understanding of the world, our empathy, and our belief in human rights help to shape those issues? And what else can we do to see, in Professor Yunus's words, peace in a human way? He reminds us through his words and actions that it is up to us all to enrich and expand the context of those now in poverty, to create fertile grounds so that they can fulfill their potential and claim their rightful place in the global community. It is an honor to welcome Professor Yunus to Georgetown and to explore how we can learn further from his experience and to express our gratitude to him for the difference that he has made in the lives of millions who have worked their way out of poverty, and for reminding us of the power of one individual and one idea to change our world. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor for me to introduce to you Professor Muhammad Yunus.
Thank you very much. I'm absolutely delighted to be back here. And thank you, President DeGioia, and my good friend Milan. So good to see her in this university as the head of the Institute for Peace and Security. And we have a lot to talk about on peace and security, where we talk about women and girls. And every time I come, I feel like I'm talking to a class of students because she's here. I say class because this is a university, so it looks like a class. But then I go out and visit other countries. I talk to students in these universities. Somebody says, oh, I heard you speak in our university when you came to our university. Which university? I said, Georgetown. I said, my God, why did she come here? So all some work they're doing there, and all say, I heard you there. So it's not just in one classroom here. It spreads immediately all over the world. That's the power of this university, Georgetown University, that what you give when you interact. It's an interaction not in one little community, it's an interaction almost like in a global community. I've been here now, I think it's fourth time. I'm here fourth time now. So that gives me, qualifies me for a tenure position here. Watch out for that. I qualified, so it's absolutely, yeah. So maybe fifth time, definitely. Yes, you can't get away. So I'm very happy to be here. That's the whole thing, to see you again, another class, another group of people, to report back to you what I've been doing. And my work, in a way, is very exciting. We can't get away from it. The more we do, more excited we get, want to do more. And if that excitement rubs on you, I'll be very, very happy. That's because I cannot just contain that excitement inside of me. I try to share it with you, see how you feel about it. You heard about Grameen Bank. President DeGioia has mentioned about Grameen Bank. Just 1 or 2 points on Grameen Bank I'll mention because we are talking about the women, we're talking about the girl child and so on here today. When I began, one of my first decisions was that in my work of lending money, half the borrower should be women. The reason was very simple. I have been criticizing the conventional banks in Bangladesh because they will not open the door to lend money to the poor people. So I was very, very nasty in criticizing them. Figured out all kinds of strong words for them. But they didn't bother what I'm saying. They said, this is a silly thing. How can people lend money to the poor people? Then I said, you not only don't lend money to the poor people, you don't lend money to women, even if she is a rich woman. So this is not about poor people. It's about any woman. They said, no, that's not true. I said, it's absolutely true. I said, find out your records. You will see not even 1% of your borrowers, 1%, not even 1% of your borrowers happen to be women. How do you explain that? So, no, well, what can we do? Women don't come to us. If they don't come to us, how do we then lend them money? I said, no, that's not true. You check your records, you check your rules. If a woman comes to borrow from you, if she's a rich woman, she has a beautiful business plan, and she brings it to the manager of the bank. Here is my proposal, loan proposal, and I want this to be approved. So manager flips through the loan proposal, and says, have you discussed it with your husband? And of course she says, yes, my husband has checked it out and he likes it. Why don't you bring your husband along next Monday so that we can discuss it? So I tell the bankers, I said, look, has it ever happened in the history of banking in Bangladesh that a man brought his proposal to the manager? You guessed it. And the manager flipping through the pages and saying, have you discussed with your wife? Does she like it? Why don't you bring your wife along so that we can discuss it? Then all the bankers laugh. I said, your laugh proves that how wrong you are. You have no justification whatsoever. And that's the cause why women cannot get in. So you hide it in your rules and say they don't come. Why should they come? If you're throwing it back to their husbands again, there's no start. I was talking about this experience in a gathering about 2 years back in Geneva. And a group of bankers were there and other people interested in our work were there. And that went very well discussed, and I told the story about how women are rejected from the banking system as a class, not as a rich, poor, or something. And a woman who happens to be high official in the government, a Swiss government, she concluded and everything is over, so we are walking out of the room. She grabs me, she says, you know what, Dr. Yunus, what you just said about, I said, what? About the woman not getting money from the bank? I said, yes, it's a terrible thing in Bangladesh. I said, no. She said, not Bangladesh, Switzerland. I'm going to see my manager today after this, and I have to take my husband along because he has to certify that I can take loan from a bank. Without his certification, I can't take a loan. So I said, I'd never thought of that. I only thought about Bangladesh. I didn't know Switzerland, which is way ahead, has the same kind of restrictions on giving a loan to women. So this is how you kind of build up your system, which accommodates all these rules which keep women down. They can't move up. They are not as a kind of independent person. They have to be somewhere tagged along with men someplace else. So I can give you tons of those stories on that. But we pushed around. We came. When we started giving loans, we wanted to go to the women. Women said, don't give it to me. I don't know what to do with money. I'm afraid of money. Give it to my husband. So no, we don't want to give it to husband. We want to give it to you. So they said, no, we don't know what to do. So my students who were with me, to talking to the women, because I cannot go in Bangladesh at that time, way back in 1976, 77, men are not allowed to talk to women in the village. So I will stay out, and my girl student will go and talk to them. By the way, the girl students that I'm talking about are here, those who did it. All these people who worked with me in Bangladesh, all the Bangladesh delegation, this is a very special moment since we came for the prize award. So we have a big delegation from Bangladesh who came with me. The banks, the young students who worked with me like you when I was in the university, they worked with me. They built the bank piece by piece. They are all here today. So may I introduce all the members of the Bangladesh delegation to stand up? Please, can you just stand up? Yeah, they are here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. It's a long time has gone over. They were a young student like you. Today they don't look like young student anymore. Some of them even retiring. So that's the kind of time gap which went behind. So they would come back and say, well, why are you insisting on giving it to poor women? They don't want the money. So why don't you just do it with the men? I said, no. When the woman says, I don't know what to do with money, I'm afraid of money, always remember it is not her voice. It is the voice of the history, which created all the fears around her. So our job is to not to listen to what they say. Our job is to peel off the fears layer by layer, so that someday one of these women will feel encouraged to say, maybe I should try. If she tries, and if it works out, then others women say, oh my God, she did it. Maybe I should try too. And one or two others will try, very quietly. And if they do it, it will start with the snowball effect. Others will do it. It took us 6 years to come to that point. And when we reached that 50-50, we're enjoying ourselves. That finally we made it. Everybody said you cannot lend money to poor people. And to lend money to poor women, you just forget it. It's impossible. What can they do? What do they do with money? What do they know about money? Now we have come to the level that we started out with, 50-50, half women, half men. Then another thing started striking us. Money that went to the family through women brought so much more benefit to the family than the same amount of money going to the family through men. In the beginning, we thought maybe this is just accidental thing we are seeing. But seeing it repeatedly, it struck me. Why are we insisting on this 50-50? What is so beautiful about this 50-50? Forget about 50-50. Let's just focus on women. So we started focusing on women. More women started coming, more and more. And gradually 60, 70, 30, 90, and so on. Today, 97%. So 97% of the borrowers of Grameen Bank are women. And it made history because it changed the whole situation of Bangladesh completely. One of the greatest things that happened in Bangladesh is the empowerment of women over the last 30 years. And it has impacted in so many different ways. It impacted in the women's health, particularly. We were not a health program as a whole, we were just a lending program, but impacted in health issues so profusely that health issues of Bangladesh completely changed. 25 years back, when you take all the South Asian countries, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and everybody else, Bangladesh, our health indicators were at the lowest in the whole region, on every item. Gradually, one item after another, we started improving, putting one country, another country back. By now, we have put all the countries back. We are at the top in healthcare. Our healthcare program in Bangladesh is not something we are proud of. It's a very sloppy kind of healthcare program. But the fact that those who are at the bottom, they knew themselves how to handle these things. All these health indicators started changing completely. So this is a great achievement. When we talk about Millennium Development Goals, which is about to finish, the period is finishing in 2015, achieving 8 Millennium Development Goals by 2015. Number one is to reduce poverty by half by 2015. Bangladesh is right there. We could have achieved it earlier than 2015. What went wrong? Financial crisis. Slowed down the economy everywhere. And now the European crisis. So we are trying to struggle from that. So still, with all those problems, some of the countries are crumbling, but ours are still moving. And we are still on the track to achieve Millennium Development Goal number 1. And we have already achieved the goal for child mortality. And every other goals we are about to achieve in 2015. So that's a tremendous thing. When Bangladesh was created, one of the famous quotes that we have in Bangladesh is from Henry Kissinger, the then Secretary of State. He said, Bangladesh is a basket case. Don't worry about it. It's not going to survive anyway, those who don't just throw them out. So that basket case now has become very strong social power, because all the achievements that in the social sector Bangladesh has achieved is a tremendous achievement. So if you look at the birth rate, Bangladesh birth rate has declined very sharply. In a Muslim country, birth rate is supposed to be higher. And that's what every other country has, Pakistan, Indonesia, and so on. But Bangladesh is uniquely came down. Today, our birth rate in Bangladesh is 1.4%, which is the same as India, 1.4%. And every other country in the region is above that. So we are at the lowest. And this achieved in a very quick way. It used to be 3.3% 25 years back. So coming from 3.3% to 1.4% is quite an achievement. It's all because the empowerment that has taken place among the women. So this is the direction we went. And we tried to address these issues within Grameen Bank ourselves, not knowingly that we are trying to change some indicators or anything. We face them person by person every day when we do microcredit. So we face all these problems. Every time I face a problem, I try to solve the problem by creating a business. It became a kind of strange habit with me. I didn't know about it, but now looking back, that's what exactly I did. I want to business formula to solve the problem. Why didn't I go into the charity formula? Usually this kind of thing is done by charities. You have a charity school, meaning that it's free school, everybody comes, somebody has to put in the money. Or it's a healthcare, you have a clinic, you have a hospital, free hospital for the poor people, so you get it free, but somebody has to pay the bill somewhere. So you're always looking for money. I didn't want that. I thought that's a very uncertain prospect. Why don't I build it as a business? And it works. And I started creating those businesses, and one after another. And it worked. And I started calling them social business. Business to solve problems. What are the other businesses? The businesses that we know. The businesses are to make money. That's your number one goal. You want to make money. And the rest of it is around it. But making money is the goal. So I turned it around. I said, solving problem is the goal. What happens to the profit? Conventional company, that is the goal. In social business, that is not the goal, because we decide in social business, the owner decides, I don't want to make money out of it. All I want my business to solve a problem. So I call it non-dividend company to solve human problems. So we created a lot of those businesses. And many of them are related to healthcare, particularly children. And many of them are related to women. Because when you come with the healthcare issue, women is the worst recipient of the healthcare. They don't get it. They have all the problems in the world, but they don't get anything. So we are focusing on that. Like one, since we don't have long time, I'll just mention one. I mentioned the 8 Millennium Development Goals, and maternal mortality is one that we cannot achieve. So we want to achieve that. So we went around how to identify the risky pregnancies. And it's a very elaborate thing. You have to ultrasound, you go to a clinic, you go to a hospital. Village women don't want to go to a hospital. So I talked to General Electric Healthcare. The chief of General Electric Healthcare happens to be a friend of mine. I said, you make lots of money by making equipments. You make money out of the problems of the people. But why don't you try to solve their problem? In a way, it's affordable to the poorest people. We said, what do you mean? Tell me more concretely. I said, look, all I want for Bangladesh, you design an ultrasound, which will be very simple, like a little tablet. It is portable. Young girls can carry it in the village and take the images and so on. That's the ultrasound. So they put a team and worked very hard with us. And the company which does it, he's also present here among the group that I mentioned. So they designed that. And the young girls have been trained. These are high school dropouts and girls. All they know how to take the images. That's all they need to do. They don't have to be a full doctor. And they have fun. And they go around in the villages, talk to the pregnant women. and befriend them, because the women in Bangladesh usually don't want to talk about pregnancies. It's a kind of hush-hush thing. Unlike the Western society here, everybody shows up, I'm pregnant. Not in Bangladesh. You keep it quiet. So you don't want to tell anybody that you are pregnant. So these girls go around, make them befriend them, and take the images with this little ultrasound, and send the images. Now that we have all the telephones in the world in Bangladesh, we have 85 million telephone subscribers in a population of 160 million. So you can imagine how many telephones there are, and very good telephone connection. So we send these images to the doctor. They can talk to the patients or mothers on the phone and say, well, your child looks okay, and so on. But we find the risky pregnancies. About 10 to 12% of pregnancies are risky pregnancies. We want to zoom in with this 10 to 12% risky pregnancy. Then we pay attention to it. Now we are saying that that's old technology, this tablets and so on. Why can't we put it in our mobile phone? Because we have the mobile phone. Everybody has a mobile phone. Download an app, the ultrasound app. Don't have to pay anything. And then plug in a probe, take the image with the mobile phone, send it off. And it's coming up now. So you can apply these technologies because it's so important for women. Pregnancy, why should a pregnancy be killer? And that's what it is for the rest of the world. So unnecessary deaths. We just go on casually as if nothing happened. So we create a social business to solve all these problems. So we have now social businesses in many countries. They are coming up. We have social business in Haiti, very interesting kind of social business. We have social business in Germany, in Brazil, in Colombia, in Albania, in China, in many other places. Of course, Bangladesh has lots of them. So that idea attracts young people. You know why? Because all it needs to change the world is idea, not money. Somebody thinks, oh, we need lots of money, X billions of dollars. No, no, no. You need the idea. Power of idea is the supreme idea. Then you can change everything. And you have that idea. That's the point I'm trying to make to you. You have enormous ideas. And you are the most powerful generation in human history. You know why? Because of technology you have in your hand. Before your generation, nobody has Facebooks, you remember? Nobody has those laptops and all those little gadgets everybody has in their pockets everywhere. It's an enormous power. You have the power. And the question that I leave with you, what are you going to do with that power? You can create a completely different world. A world where there will be no person, not a single person on this planet will be a poor person. Because poverty is not in the person. Poverty is something there, imposed on them. Poverty is an imposed phenomenon. It's not a self-generated phenomenon. So if it is an imposed phenomenon, let us cut it off so that nobody has to suffer from it. Nobody should be an unemployed person. There's nothing wrong with the unemployed person. So why should anybody be an unemployed person? So we have to redesign things, and you can redesign it. Redesign it in a kind of like a science fiction redesigning. If you make a science fiction, like let's call it a social fiction, you write a social fiction, and if you can write a social fiction, that means you are imagining things. If you imagine, it will happen. If you don't imagine, it will never happen. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Please sit down.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So Dr. Yunus, being the professor that he is eager to get your questions. We ask you to line up here in the middle, very concisely ask your question, state your name and where you're from, and the professor will have a grand time, right?
Good.
I must tell you,
I have a job coming up, so
yes,
I have to do
as he was walking in today, a student said to him and completely unchoreographed. You would have thought it was. Said, "I'm so-and-so from Venezuela, Dr. Yunus." And he said, "I have adopted your principles. I have a microcredit project in my country, and we are going to grow that project. It's very successful." Right. So we know there's lots of ideas here.
Hi, Dr. Yunus. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you here. My name is Christine Feil. I'm a staff member at the university. I work for a scholarship program called the Georgetown Scholarship Program. I'm a huge advocate for microcredit and microfinance, especially in developing communities, but I'm going to play devil's advocate just for a second. I have been reading a couple texts that talk about, is microcredit largely an illusion? Are the possibilities not as great as they seem? And I'm sure you're familiar with those arguments. I wanted to ask you, are there limits to microcredit in solving global poverty? And if so, what are they?
First of all, to clarify, microcredit is not the only means of relief. It is one of the many things we have to do. So it's very important, very fundamental. So we should not de-emphasize that part. It changes people's ability to address their own problem. Otherwise, you remain dependent. You look for a job, somebody else's decision. And for women, even job is not an option because they don't go into the job market. They stay home and husband earns money, so it becomes a double dependence. She is dependent on her husband, she is dependent on the society, and she doesn't know where to go. So we are lifting that person from those dependents, that I can take care of myself. I can create an employment for myself. And once I can create an employment for myself, I'm capable of creating employment for others too. If I grow, I hire somebody to work with me, help me, and that's employment. So this is what there is no limitation, and move on. The limitation may be that I'm an illiterate woman. I cannot run a multi-billion-dollar company. That's not what I'm looking for. That people, when they talk about limitation, that's what they talk about. But that we are taking care of by sending their children to school. So 100% of the children of Grameen families are in school. Many of them in higher education. They get education loan and then study, go to medical school, engineering school, nursing college, and all kinds of things. And that's what they do. And that's changed that world. So the limitation of one generation is gone for the next generation, and you move on. And we work in New York City. We have now 6 branches in New York City with 12,000 borrowers, and the average loan is $1,500. You see where they are starting. They were sitting around. Now they have created business. By the way, we have one of our students who are in nursing college. She is with us. She is here, Zakia? Yeah, she is here. Okay, she is one of the Grameen Bank borrower's daughter, and she came from a village. She is in a nursing college that we created as a social business. She is a student there. Now we thought she can participate because with just graduation has taken place, and some of her friends got scholarships in other universities, actually Glasgow Caledonian universities. We said, why don't you come over with us and you meet other nursing college students here? So that's how we took her along, and that's where she is. Let's give a big applause for her. Thank you. So this is how it changes. When she's enrolled in the nursing college, she couldn't speak English. She comes from the village. Now she can speak English within this college because we concentrated on learning English so that you communicate with others. And one of the first job they do in the nursing college is not nursing, language and internet. So that they have Facebook, they have their email addresses, they're communicating with each other, and that's it. So that way they don't feel that they are left out somewhere. They are part of a global community like yours. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Dr. Yunus. My name is Chris Timko. I'm a sophomore here, and I also work for the Hilltop Microfinance Initiative, which is an independent student-run microfinance initiative at Georgetown. And my question's regarding recent studies of microcredit that seem to suggest that microcredit is very, very good at lifting people who are closest to the poverty line from poverty. So my question for you is, what strategies or how would you improve the social business of microfinance or microcredit to better include the people who are maybe in the most dire straits in the deepest poverty?
Well, it's a movement. The one at the bottom doesn't jump, everybody gets there. So it's a kind of, if you are in the stair, you're in the bottom step, and somebody is very close to the top step. So the top step person will immediately come to the floor, next floor. But the one at the ground floor and in first step, they have to go through all the steps. There's no magic formula. You can take the first one, then you have to have a lift. You put everybody together and lift. We don't have a lift like that. So we have to sweat through those steps. So if people say that we have magic formula, somehow we do that. The important fact is, are they moving up? As long as they move up, continue to keep moving up, sometime they will get to the next floor. That's the important thing. And in order to help them, in order to expedite the speed it up, the whole process, we brought other factors. And that's why we created the social business. I said, whenever I see a problem, I create a business. Like this girl that I said about the nursing college, if they were not in the nursing college, they will have some education in the local levels and get married, have children, and so on, hardly have any job for themselves. And that's what their fate would be. Now we said, no, you don't have to follow that route. Why don't you come to nursing college? You have a world-class nursing education and be a world citizen. You can be a nurse anywhere in the world, including Bangladesh. So they have a future completely different. So that's a big jump. When you encourage all the children to go to school, give them education loan, hundreds of thousands of them, so they are no longer baby steps people. Her mother had a baby step, but she has a giant step because she is prepared for that. We bring technology for them. Mobile phone, everybody has a mobile phone in Bangladesh. We created that. We created a mobile phone company to bring mobile phone in the hands of the poor women. So that gives them another jump. So we're trying to expedite the process. We bring healthcare. We have healthcare, health insurance. Health insurance that we have is $3 per year for the whole family. And we provide all the healthcare with that in a sustainable way, so that they don't have to suffer through the unnecessary diseases and so on, and they're connected with the health system so that they can continue to work to change their life rather than spend whatever they earn money, they spend in their healthcare. That's not a good step. So these are the things you have to bring them together rather than say it cannot be done. When somebody tells you it is slow, then you feel that this is my job to expedite it, rather than say it's slow, so move on to something else. That's not a solution. Solution is take the responsibility and make it happen.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Yunus.
Hi.
Dave Ellis from the Black Hills of South Dakota, recently moving to California. My question is the difference between nonprofit business and social business. Very clear when I describe to my friends what you're doing, the difference between for-profit business and social business. Because here the purpose is money, and here the purpose is to solve a social problem. What's the difference between social business and nonprofit business? Like, many universities are in the business of education, and they charge, and they run like a business, but they're nonprofit. What's the difference?
Yeah. When you say nonprofit, Dave, it may be charity. So I start with that. You had university which covers its cost, so I'll come to that. The moment you say nonprofit is such a wide thing, usually it's applied for charities. You raise money and use the money. And that's a great job. I'm not saying that you're not doing the right thing. You're doing absolutely the right thing. All I'm suggesting to you that maybe some of your work that you do as a charity, if you can convert into a social business, it becomes more powerful. Because in charity, money goes, does the work, but it doesn't come back. Money doesn't come back. If you can convert that piece into a business formula, then money comes back. You can send the money back again. It recycles. It becomes powerful because you have created a self-fuel engine which never stops. And that's a wonderful thing to happen. So your charity dollar has one life. It can be used only once. But if you can convert it to social business dollar, then it's an endless life, indestructible life. So that's the proposition between charity and... Now you created a case where it's a non-profit, but that doesn't mean it doesn't make profit. Because if you have recovered your cost, it's not exactly you spent $100 and you got exactly one. You may have $101, so you have profit. So it's not that sense non-profit in that sense. It's a profit, but nobody is taking profit. There's no owner. There is no owner. That's the whole thing. What we did, maybe it's very similar to social business, but we wanted to have the business time so that you have a whole business world waiting for you. Invest, you get your money back. So in a nonprofit, nobody's taking money back. So in social business, I invest $100 in that company, and I get my $100 back. And I don't want anything else except to see that the problem is solved. So I can use my $100 again. At the same time, the dollar that I used is just recycling. So it becomes more powerful. That's the only thing. Investment money comes back to you, and I'm not interested in any dividend out of it. It's a non-dividend company to solve human problems. And every businessman can understand that very quickly.
So the profit goes back to the original investors.
No, not profit.
The surplus.
Yeah, surplus stays with the company.
Yeah, except after it paid back the original
after
investors.
After you have paid back the original person. I hope it makes clear, Dave.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, sir. My name's Priyo. I'm from Bangladesh. I'm currently finishing up my MBA in Washington, D.C., George Washington. My question was, I love the social business concept. It has a great intellectual appeal to me. But I'm concerned, what's next for the social business? How can we teach this concept or approach in traditional business schools so that social businesses take off more and we have more spontaneous businesses?
Thank you very much. That's my pet subject. How to bring it to the young people, because you can scream talking about it a million times, but that doesn't get to everybody. So if you put it in the university courses, then every student has to learn in the details, become a critic, become a supporter, bring improvement to the concept. So we are suggesting to at least to begin with to business school. Business school gives MBA degrees, like you took MBA degree. And they tell you in the MBA degree how to work for a company and make sure, because of your contribution, shareholders of the company make more money. That's what they tell you in every details, how to help the company to make more money for the shareholders. So their all obsession is in how to make more money. So I said, I'm appealing to the business school, why didn't you create another department? Give them social MBAs. In social MBA courses, you tell the young students how to create a social business and solve problems. The more critical problem you solve, successful business graduate you are, because that's the purpose of the social business. So your entire orientation is a completely different. You're not in the process of making money. In the process of making money, you do things which you don't have to do it this way. You are always looking for an opportunity or a problem where you can use your business talent to create a social business opportunity for them. And how do you do that? How do you measure it? How to make it more efficient, to make more impact on it? What is the most difficult problem in the world? How do you make that problem into a social business design so that everybody says, my God, he found it. For example, unemployment is a massive problem globally. If you can find you formulate a social business to solve the problem of 5 unemployed people, 5, not just 5 million, just 5 unemployed people in a business way, in a social business way. You created it not to make money, you created it to provide opportunities for income for 5 unemployed people. Then you have discovered something. You have presented something to the world. All we have to do now, repeat what you have done, so that the next 5 will go, next 10 will go, next 100 will go, next million will go. It's a question of repetition. When we did microcredit, we didn't start giving money to 8 million people in Bangladesh. We gave only $27 in one village. But we repeated this. The whole microcredit is nothing but repetition. You keep repeating, we repeated more people, and it becomes millions and millions and millions. Today, there are probably 150 million people around the world who has access to microcredit. So that's a challenge for social business. Yes, your point is right. We have to bring it to the classroom so that every young person who is studying economics or finance or business will learn there are 2 kinds of business. One business to make money for yourself, another business to solve problem for the world. So choose your businesses. You can do both businesses. You can specialize in one business, and it's up to your choice. It's a choice. It's not something somebody is imposing on you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Holly.
Hello, I'm Holly Mosher. I'm from Los Angeles, and I love that I came right after that question because I love that you start small and always replicate. And my question for all these students coming out into the job world soon is about job creation. And can you share, you're such a master of job creation, can you share how many people you've employed with your different companies, maybe not all of them, but to show that this is scalable and will create jobs? Thank you.
Well, within Grameen Bank, we have 25,000 staff working. So that's something that you can see. And there are many other companies we created, Grameen Phone, Grameen Telecom, Grameen Shakti, or Grameen Energy. So each one you add 10,000, 5,000, 3,000. They're enormous job completely. And every time we create a social business, more jobs. But your basic question is to address these young people, how to go about job searching and so on. Within Grameen Bank, young people, while they're coming up with their college degrees and so on, the advice that I gave very strongly, I said, you take a pledge, make a promise to yourself, and repeat this pledge every morning when you wake up. And the pledge is, I'm not a job seeker, I'm a job giver. Creating job is the mission of my life. So that your mental faculty starts completely different way. Today, young people are encouraged to think about how to take a job. Even there are courses or kind of guidance, how to apply for a job, how to write a CV, how to appear in a job interview. So it's always oriented towards how to get a job. I said, that's okay, you teach them how to. At the same time, with equal importance, you teach how to create a job, how to start a business, so that this is your choice. And in order to do that, how do you proceed? If I want to create a business, where do I get the money? So the institution has to be built right in the back, so that if you want to create a job, create jobs, a company, you have a financing system where you can go and convince them that you have a bright idea and you are capable of it, and they will put the money in it. And you proceed with that. And that's the crux of the whole problem. We have to see it in double ways, two ways. Being a job seeker and being a job giver. And I have to make the choice. That's it. Thank you.
Hello.
This is going to have to be our last question,
Excuse me?
This will be our last question.
The last? Oh, okay.
I know, I'm sorry. But since he's going to
my
become
God. Okay.
tenured here at Georgetown, he'll be back
That's
for more
great.
questions.
That's a great news.
I should
First
give
of all,
something
yeah.
for the tenure
I
job.
hope my question is good for everybody. So,
Okay.
first of all, congratulations, Professor Yunus. It's an honor to be here with you. Congratulations on the medal. I am Carlos from Mexico City. I've been working in the government for the last 7 years, but I have worked as well with an NGO that I founded 6 years ago that works mainly with women. It works as a charity, but now that I'm in Georgetown in the Public Policy Institute, I am really interested in turning into a social business. So my two comments or question is, what is your best advice to people like me, which work closely with a charity? What's the best advice to turn it into a social business, sustainable, especially in the financial area, so that it can work as a self-engine, as you say? And the second is your experience in other parts of the world, like Latin America and Mexico. Is it very different from your experience in Bangladesh and Asia, or are the same fundamentals in the way of thinking in social business? Thank you very much.
Thank you. The second question first is same. We work the same way in Bangladesh, in the United States. Now we work, as I said, in New York City. We have Omaha, Nebraska. We work in Los Angeles, in San Francisco, in Charlotte, North Carolina, Indianapolis. So same. We work in Oaxaca, Mexico, same way. Everywhere that we work is the same way. So this is basically, structure is the same. Procedure is the same, and it works the same way. We're very happy. The reason it works, when people try to explain, don't you want to accommodate the differences in each country, difference among the people? I said, I work the other way. I utilize the similarities of people. I don't care for the differences in people because I see there hardly differences among people probably amounts to, say, among 2%. The 98% of human being is about similarity. But we kind of are fond of talking most of the time about differences. So it looks like it's big. We don't talk about the 98% similarities because it's uninteresting, it's similar. So that way it gives you a wrong impression. When you go there, it's the same people, same poor person, same desire, same desire to come out of the poverty, help the children, and so on. So they work exactly the same way. They never complain about it. When we came to New York City, they said, oh, nobody will care to have 5 people put together, become a group, and so on. We said, look, that's how Grameen works. If you don't like it, sorry, we can't work. Then say, no problem, we'll be in a group. They are all grouped. 12,000 borrowers that we have in New York, all of them is 5-member group, weekly meeting, and everything that we follow. So that way it works very well. And about the social business, how to learn? We hold conferences where we bring all the people together who want to join in social business. We also bring those who are already doing social business. We want businesses who want to be in social business, like yourself, a charity who wants to be in social business, so that we spend 2 days, 3 days among ourselves. We figure out how to get whichever suggestion. We build a social business community among ourselves. Within a week, there will be a social business forum in Europe, European Social Business Forum in Wiesbaden in Germany. And they will bring lots of people among Europe talk about it. We will hold one in Latin America, Social Business Forum. Like one will be in July, and President Vicente Fox is organizing it in Guanajuato. So we'll be all there in Guanajuato discussing about social business and so on and so forth. Right. So a person like you can participate in one of them. The biggest one is in Kuala Lumpur, coming up. It's November 7, 8, and 9. November 7, 8, 9. Global conference will take place. People from everywhere will come. And those who are organizing it, I think she is here. Nina is here. Can you just stand up? She is the one organizer. It's a big event. Very good. She is here. Very good. So you have you can talk to her. And there is Social Business Forum Asia in July 25 and 26. It will be held in Japan. One part will be Japan, another part will be Korea. So there will be 2-part Social Business Forum Asia. And organizer of that is also here, Professor Masa Okada. Can you stand up? See? He's all here with us. So we have opportunities. We have opportunities to get together, learn, and we have books, publications, websites, and you write to us, we'll let you know all this so that we can help you to move in that direction in the right way. Thank you very much.
Professor Yunus. Thank you.
Thank you.
Words from our distinguished director of Georgetown's Global Human Development Program, Ann Van Dusen.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Dr. Yunus. This was inspirational, as we knew it would be, and we're looking forward to your 5th visit. Surely tenure will come at that point. But this has been an exceptional afternoon. Since I believe that we can never have enough of the wisdom of Muhammad Yunus, I want to offer in closing 3 of my favorite Yunusisms, which I think capture perfectly this whole day and what it represents. The first is, poverty is the absence of all human rights. The frustrations, hostilities, and anger generated by abject poverty cannot sustain peace in any society. For building stable peace, we must find ways to provide opportunities for people to live decent lives. I think that's what you've been about. I think that is the call to action for all of us. The second saying of yours that appeals to me is, things are never as complicated as they seem. It's only our arrogance that prompts us to find unnecessarily complicated answers to simple problems. So we often call this keep it simple, stupid, but it's basically if you want to get something done, you've got to find the simple answers. And finally, and this is something that you were alluding to just a bit ago, you said, we prepare our students for jobs and careers, but we don't teach them to think as individuals about what kind of world they would create. I like to think here at Georgetown that we are teaching students how to think as individuals and to think about the world as it should be and to move forward with that vision. Your presence here today has been a cogent reminder about why we are here and what we need to do here on the Hilltop and around the world. So we thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And that concludes our time with Professor Yunus. We wish everyone from Bangladesh and around the world safe travels, and please come back again and again and again. Let's thank Professor Yunus one more time.